Take It Like a Man is the new album by Amanda Shires. Easily one of the most eagerly awaited albums of 2022, Amanda's 7th album is a revelation for her and for her fans. Here she is to talk about writing songs about her marriage to Jason Isbell, why Dolly Parton superglued a jewel to her face, and finally finding her own voice. The album's coming out in a couple of days. How are you feeling about all that?
Honestly, I'm so excited, but simultaneously jittery, you know, just, I think it's normal.
Yep, I'm sure it is. Well, you've done it before, but this one feels a little different than the others. Does it feel different for you?
Majorly. I'm very proud of it. And you know, all the feelings and good work and good intention that we put into it. I just hope that other people can hear it.
Right. I'm sure. I have a feeling they will. I've heard it, and it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, it's great. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts of the record, I just need, a lot of people are talking about Joni Mitchell and her appearance at Newport yesterday, and people are weeping uncontrollably all over the internet after watching those clips. So I wonder if you had any thoughts and opinions and insights as to all that stuff.
You know, I don't know the daily goings ons with Brandi and Joni, but I do know that she's been visiting her and hanging out with her since I've met Brandi. Like they just started their friendship kind of when we were doing press for the Highwomen, and sometimes what you need to do music and to feel good about it is another person that makes you feel good about it. And you know, sometimes you just need to rekindle the flame, you know. Right.
And you had kind of a similar experience with Dolly Parton and you guys a couple of years ago, right?
That was something else. I learned a lot that day.
What did you learn?
Well, she stuck a jewel to my face for the Newport show with super glue.
Right.
And I was like, cool. I always wondered how people did that, and I'd never seen it done before. And then I left it on there because Dolly Parton gave it to me.
Sure.
And then I realized, like 5 days later, as I was just washing around it, I was like, well, I guess it's staying on. And I tried to get it off. It was on there with super glue, and I was like, and I peeled it off, and I had like this mark, and I was like, oh, okay. I learned not to use super glue next time.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure David Bowie would have had some insights into that if he was still around. But anyway, that's pretty cool though. You get Dolly left her mark on you.
She also said, because I saw her wear nails to play music and the guitar and stuff. And I thought, I'm gonna go get some nails before the show. And I got to the show and I couldn't hardly do my A++ best. And she said, no, you got to practice with your nails on too.
Oh, well, there you go. See, these are the insights. Yeah, that's great. Fantastic. So Take It Like a Man is the name of the album and the name of the song on it. So why have you chosen to call it that? When did it start taking shape?
I decided to call it that. There'd been a list of things that I was considering calling it, but you always know kind of like what you're going to call a thing. Kind of like when you get a fish at the store, or when you have a child, you kind of have an idea of the name, or just you got to argue with it with your husband or whoever you're in a relationship with. Anyway, so when it comes down to it, the records is a lot about it. It's super vulnerable, and it deals with, choice and the consequence of choice and all that. But growing up and being in the music business, I've heard it a lot of different times in different ways. And even in sports as a kid, don't cry, don't show weakness. If you do, you won't be successful, or you're going to be made out to be called crazy because you're a girl and all that, or just all that stuff goes with it. And in these times, luckily, it's okay to have self-care and to have your emotions and your feelings, in an appropriate, healthy way. But I thought, this is it takes more courage to to be vulnerable than it does to just push everything away and just be stoic and strong and all this. And then at the same time, I like the idea of the kind of expository nature of the words together, like take it like a man. And like you could be like, okay, so you dished it out, now let's see if you can take it. And then there's just, I like the multi ways you can consider the title, and they all, you know, are applicable.
Mm-hmm. So, and you worked with a producer, Lawrence Rotman. So tell me why you're working with him and how that dynamic worked with making this record.
Well, you know, when I first came across Lawrence's name, you know, it was via email, and they wanted me to do a harmony song, you know, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. Oh, their pronouns are they, them. And I didn't know much about that until I met Lawrence, and I'm with it. But so I was like, I love this, the way this song sounds, and it's beautiful, and the production's beautiful, and I'll do it. And a couple of weeks later, I was in an argument with my husband, and we hadn't been doing very well in the talking to one of each other department, you know, like there's just, you couldn't get through to one another. And you know, in marriage, I don't know a lot of good got a lot of good examples for it, but I and also nobody told me that this kind of thing happens. But you know, my grandma said, marriage is hard, but you can do it. Me and grandpa have been together coming on 50 years or whatever. And just the ways that it's hard are not often talked about or described, because sometimes it's so nebulous and vague and weird. But I couldn't get through to him, and we were having an argument, and I was just thinking, you know, self, I'm just going to explain this to myself in a song. And I wrote the song Fault Lines, and I was in hopes that might be a way in to you know, establish some kind of common ground, some kind of just open a door or something, a window. But Jason didn't listen to it, and
oh man.
So a couple of days later, I sent it to Lawrence, and I said, I wrote this song, and they were in London, and they said, that's a beautiful song. It's very sad, but it's beautiful. I love it. And they said, we should record it. And I said, oh, I'm not interested in making a record or anything. And I just wanted somebody to hear it. And they said, well, I heard that. If you have any more, send them my way. So that's where it started.
Okay. All right. And so that was on those same lines. I was wondering, obviously you and Jason, everybody knows that you're a couple, and you know, and they know both of you, and they're going to read all sorts of things into every song that you write and that he writes. So was that a difficult thing to get past, to realize that people are going to insinuate all sorts of stuff that probably isn't necessarily true?
Right. That's difficult, because we both want to be free to write about our lives or your lives, or, you know, our freedom to be creative and express ourselves. And sometimes you do write one that's solely about you, and you make a choice to put that out there, and to know that that folks might have questions or criticisms or whatever, just think whatever. And at the same time, while that part's scary, it's also scary to be suddenly having to, or no, it's scary that a person might think, oh, this is a confessional songwriter, and I don't want that to be attached to me, because I feel like it's so confining and constricting that you can only write about yourself. Like, there's so many people's problems and stories to be singing about. So that one happens to be true. And I went back and forth in the sequence. I had it off the record, I had it on the record, and I had it off forever. And Jason heard the latest sequence, and he said, where's the Fault Line song? And I said, well, I don't know if I want to talk about our marriage in the public or whatever. And he said, you don't have to, but you could always just tell them your side and not my side, and you're not speaking for me. Or at the worst that could happen is what you might help somebody when they're trying to give language to what they're going through. And so it was with his encouragement and his words of saying, "Don't be an idiot, put that song on the record." So I left it on. He said, "A good song's a good song." And he did. The first time he heard it was in the studio when he had to play on it. And at the end of it, he said, "That's a good song." I said, "That's all you have to say?"
Man, that's got to drive you nuts.
This man.
That's great.
He gives all his words out to Twitter.
Right. Well, there you go. It's a whole new world out there. I'm an old guy, so it's all mystery to me. I don't understand. But anyway, so
have you ever been married?
Twice.
Twice. Good job. Jason's on his second, and I'm on my first.
Yep. So yeah. The good thing is I got 2 daughters out of the deal, so that's all.
That is really good. That is
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Your daughters always stay with you.
They do. So I'm going to hang out with them tonight because speaking of aging, it's my birthday today. But I know that you're
Happy Leo birthday.
Yes, thank you. But not. I don't want to make this about me because I read somewhere that I think you're 40-ish. Are you?
Oh yeah,
now?
I'm 40. I'm 40 going on 14.
No, that's the spirit. That's the way I feel too, but nobody else does.
That's the secret. That's whoever's happiest wins.
Right. Okay. So were you thinking about your age and where you are in your life when you were writing these songs? I mean, it's pretty obvious you probably were, but tell me the process you went through.
I think about I don't think about my age too much, but I sometimes am made aware of what people's idea of age means for you and not what it means for me as myself. And so some of those things I start noticing, yeah, I got some cute teeth jewels on right now. They're cute. I like them. I might be 40, but I don't give a shit. If it makes me feel good, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And also, I think that those kind of those rules put into other place by people to be dressed like this, do like this, whatever. I understand at the workplace and everything, but when I'm just out being myself or being a musical entertainer, I feel like I should get to wear what I feel like I want to wear. And then if it's talking about me as a woman, I feel like a lot of times as a wife and a mom, those two identities are what people look at you for first, and they forget that you're your own person first. And I think that if we take care of ourselves individually and maintain our individual identities, we're better to serve, in these other branches of our unique individual selves. And then while I am a mom and a wife, that's not all I am,
Yep.
That's just the way it's going to be.
Yep, because we all have our inner voice of who we think we are that nobody else has any contact with at all. It's kind of bizarre, isn't it?
And you gotta take care of yourself first, and that way you get the most enjoyment out of life, and then that way you have good memories to share with people, and you don't have to be the unhappy person that
Yeah.
I read somewhere in the New York Times a couple years ago, no amount of good parenting makes up for an unhappy mom.
I'll have to think about that and talk to my ex-wife about it.
Get her on the phone.
Yeah, right. Very good. Now back to the geeky stuff about the record. So you and Lawrence, what kind of conversations did you have about the sound and the feel and the vibe that you wanted on this record? Because it is different than what you've done in the past.
Quite a few, and that was the thing that was once we started going down the talk of sounds and landscapes and everything, I knew everything was going to be okay because we're the same age. I'm 2 months older than them, but we have a lot of the same musical references and influences from being kids at the same time in the places that we lived. But I have quite a bit more country knowledge, but they're starting to pick up on a lot of that stuff too, and then they've got more knowledge and experience with rock and
Mhm.
even R&B and stuff like that. And so it's while we share so much, we also bring each other something too. And a lot of times when you're talking about music and what you want to do, you have to use comparison. So it's nice to be able to say, I really like the drums on this song, in the way that different, you can pick it apart. And then like, so I made like a big list of songs and just started explaining what I liked.
Yeah.
And then they started just kind of taking that in and synthesizing it. And as we went through the process, it was always, if something sounds off or not right to you or what you want to hear, we'll just stop and make a different sound. It's easy. And I really appreciated how easy that was, and how much that they didn't feel like that was a criticism. Sometimes folks will get their feelings hurt if they're trying to do a thing, and then you're like, it's not really what I'm doing. And then next thing you know, crying in the parking lot. And you're like, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm just trying to explain that
Right.
it needs to be a little bit, in the tone department, whatever, could be anything.
Nothing like a good cry in the parking lot, is it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, speaking of comparisons, I got one for you, and you can tell me if I'm out of my mind. On Lonely at Night, for some reason, Dusty Springfield came to mind, and a little Dusty in Memphis, and Just a Little Lovin' and all that. And I'm wondering if that is anything that you were familiar
That's
with.
wonderful. That's wonderful. I've never actually considered that myself, but Lawrence did say that once, and I'm happy about that.
And I don't think you sound like Dusty. It was just the vibe of the production and the song and the way you were
I was like, in some ways, it's kind of Carole King to me, a little bit, and I didn't realize it till after the performance of it. And but that's because everybody had gone home, and me and Peter, I was like, Peter, we got to do this jam. And Peter said, the keyboard player, our Peter, right. I said, we forgot that one. And he said, okay, let's do it. And he played the piano and I sang it, and we put the, I was like, I want to do the stops at the word stop. And then you're going to have to play the drums. And so he did. Turns out he's an amazing drummer.
Cool. Well, that helps.
Nobody knew.
And then the album ends with a song called Everything Has Its Time, where there's strings and it's a ballad. And tell me why that's at the end of the album.
That song is at the end of the album for a couple of reasons. It's because I wrote it with Natalie Hemby, and she's got this idea about songs that she writes with folks. She likes them to go at the end.
Right.
But for real, the truth of it is it's at the end, because if you're a person like me that plays vinyl, when you flip it over, it works with the key change, and then with the mood and the start overness of it. And then also like with the relationship ebbs and flows and life doing the same, it kind of completed the circle in a way that as you would hope a circle would be, never ending or unbroken.
Yes,
so,
as the circle is. So you're a record player, you collect records, do you?
I do. I had a job at Ralph's Records in Lubbock, Texas, back in the day, and I sold my record collection to move here to Nashville, Tennessee. So I've been rebuilding since. Yeah,
it's a frustrating thing. I was tempted when I moved from the States to New Zealand. As you can see behind me, I didn't do what you did, but
I'm envious right now.
But I'm glad I didn't, because 30
and
you've
got some stuff, I'm sure, that I can't get anywhere near over here.
Well, we'll see what happens. But it's good to have. I can't imagine being without them. So there you go.
I can't imagine a better backdrop.
Yeah, it is nice
for life and your house. That's amazing.
Yep. Now, how did you know when the record was done, when you were finished with it?
Well, because the songs that I started to write, because what happened was I started writing this record, and then I never wanted to ever stop writing. It's like still going. And when I started noticing that the themes were changing, I have a whole bunch of other songs that I've written, and some I recorded that didn't make the record, not because they weren't any good, because there's a couple of really good ones. I mean, a couple of them weren't my best work, but there's a couple of what I think are really good ones that didn't fit the collection thematically, and turns out since I've been writing are kind of going towards a different conversation, because you don't want every record you don't want to. Hopefully your marriage starts turning around and you can write about something different.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. No, that
Yeah.
would be nice. So you got a record release show coming up. What's that going to be like?
That is gonna be wild, and I would probably be nervous and probably so excited that I don't realize what's happening until the first two songs are over. Because you get into this thing and you're playing music and you've been playing and suddenly it's happening. And for me, sometimes it takes a minute to find the present when I'm in all the doing.
Right. So who's in the band, and what kind of, is this the beginning of a tour, or is it a one-off show?
The tour's in September. I'm doing, this is just a show for the friends and the fans in Nashville. And I got a couple like one-off things, but I wanted to keep the summer a little bit open because my daughter's about to be 7, and I know that there won't be a lot of summers when she wants to spend them all with me. She'll probably want to be with her teenage friends and everything.
Yep.
And so I was taking advantage of that. And so I'm doing the tour in September, and it's going to be a good long one, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, very good. So with the journey that you've gone through making Take It Like a Man, do you feel like you're a different artist than you were, say, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yes. I have learned a lot about self-acceptance and self-advocacy in seeing Lawrence model that. And I feel like I found my voice in the way that that I'm more inclined to speak up when I'll speak up for others on their behalf if something's happening, but I would never do that for myself in the past. And that just got me in a world of hurt and in the studio and all kinds of places where I was just letting myself get run over. And but now, I feel like a completely different artist now. On top of the fact that I had a near-death experience, I'm not taking shit from nobody now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And also, I accept my voice as it is now. I know that no matter how hard I dream and pray at night when I go to sleep, I'm not going to wake up and it's not going to sound like, I'm going to wake up and it's still not going to sound like Etta James.
Okay, well, I can't argue with you there.
Yeah.
But so what do you do? What do you have to do internally to come to that point where you're comfortable with your own voice?
You have to be in a room with people that believe that your voice is really great. And I haven't really been in many rooms where that's been true for me. I know I have kind of a interesting voice is what I call it. It has this like wiggly thing it does, a warbling thing it does. And I used to run away from that, and it's impossible. I can't even, it's your voice, you're born with it. What are you gonna do about it? It's that didn't stop Leonard Cohen.
Nope.
Yeah.
It didn't stop Joni Mitchell either. I mean, I was amazed when I saw that footage yesterday, and she was she wasn't just, she was performing. She was singing. Yeah. It was just a different voice than, we've heard in the past.
I bet that felt so good for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people that were there, of course, but
yep.
It's a big thing when the people that I know who have had different things happen with their voice and whatnot, or like break a finger and can't play music. It's a big hurdle.
Yeah. So what are you going to talk to Brandi about when you see her again?
I'm probably going to talk to her about, we talk about the garden sometimes, but I'll probably talk to her about Joni Mitchell if she doesn't first say, "Don't ask, there are no more words." I'd probably first go into what's Joni's address. That's what I'd lead with.
Right. Okay. You're gonna stalk her, are you?
Yeah. I'm gonna go drop a gift.
That's a beautiful thing. Very good. All righty. Well, thank you so much for taking this time to talk to me. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you for this time. I hope you have fun with your daughters tonight.
I will, and hope you have a good day on the record release day and everything happens the way it should.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
See you next time.